talking to none other than Trent Williams. We'll get him set up here and make sure everything's good, but pretty cool day at work here.
Yeah, no, it's a lot of fun. We're going to talk to CMC and D Winters, and definitely a different vibe. Like this is that time where, Trent. When does camp become like when are you excited about it? And when do you start to get a little bit over it? We were talking about it earlier. We're not quite to that point where you're starting to get over it yet, right?
No. It feels like it just started, honestly, which it probably did. I mean, it's only been a week. But I think to answer your question, you start getting excited, and once you have that first day of full pads, you get tired of trash talking to defense. Oh, that wouldn't have been there if we had pads on, or you wouldn't have did this if we had pads on. So, that's kind of when you get excited. I don't know if you ever really get over it. Like nowadays, it's so fast. It's only 2.5 weeks. 15 years ago, it was like a month and a half. So, I think you get over it then. But now, I enjoy it, man. I just try to enjoy all the time I got left in this locker room, and I don't really get to a point where I'm over training camp. It's when that's when you get everything prepared to go for the real bullets flying. So.
Well, 49er fans aren't over watching Trent Williams, that's for sure. And look, these last two off seasons very different, and of course this one was just much longer with going 6-11, missing out on the playoffs. Everyone had a little bit of extra time to reset, and the big headline of this offseason was that the guy that you're being paid to protect, Brock Purdy, got locked up for a long-term deal. I mean, I know it's probably felt like a long time now where Brock is the leader of this team, but how did that change your perspective at all to just know that he's committed to this relationship with Kyle Shanahan, he's committed to the San Francisco 49ers for the long term?
I always looked at Brock like that.
Yeah.
I tell people all the time, I mean, my first time of seeing Brock in OTAs, I literally left the field and went and met Kyle in the office just to brag on what I seen. And he had impressed me in just being in OTAs and shorts and T-shirts and just the way he was locked in. And I was just impressed with the rookie. And then when he made the team, he'll tell you I pulled him to the side and just kind of told him how special that was for a 7-rounder to even make the active roster. Not even saying quarterback, but just any 7-rounder to make an active roster. It's pretty tough to do. You don't see it often, So I guess I wouldn't. Obviously, he did it himself, but I've been here kind of every step of the way with him. So I always looked at him as like our leader in the face of our franchise.
Does anything faze him? I mean, it doesn't seem like it from our point of view, but I mean, what good, bad? Obviously, this has been a real good offseason for him in a number of different ways. Yeah. But I mean, it always just seems like the same tone, same walk. Is it that way for you guys?
Yeah, 100%. You don't know what's going on when his poker face is super strong. So he's never showing any anxiety, he's never showing any anxiousness. He's always that. That stoic leader that we kind of need to control the huddle. But, you do see his face light up when you talk about his baby girl, So and you can see then he shows some emotion. But talking about the money, the success, he's just locked in. But, when we talk about fatherhood and, both of us being girl dads and, and then you can see the sparkle in his eyes,
No question. And Christian McCaffrey just had the same experience
thing,
with his wife, too. So a lot of happiness around the family lives of the San Francisco 49ers here. We're out at Levi Stadium training camp. Papa Silver, Greg Silver, John Dickinson talking to Trent Williams here. First 5 draft picks were all on the defensive side of the ball. And obviously you're on the other end of that. And when we're going up against team drills, that's you facing off against these guys. So do you see it at this stage more as you're trying to teach them a little bit and compete against them, or is there still that mentorship factor even though you're on the other side of the ball here?
Yeah, I mean, from my standpoint, I'm 37, so I'm kind of mentoring everybody, So, you compete against them and you kind of mentor them and you just show them what you see, you know what I'm saying? And I've always been that way to try to help guys, defensive guys, to try to, because I don't look at me as competing against them in training camp. I want them to compete week 1, week 2, week 3. So if I can help them and put tools in their toolbox to do so, then I will, no matter if it makes my job harder or not. To answer your question, it's a little bit of competing and a little bit of mentoring. And, when you got a guy like Michael and, who can be a terror in this league if he treats it the right way, it's kind of hard not to come in and tap in where you see something needs to be said, or to be that older voice for them to bounce ideas off of, or just help with life in general. And because this is a huge change for young people to get to this league, and you accomplish your dreams, but it's just starting. So it's a pretty peculiar thing to kind of work through if you're a rookie. So I try to help.
How soon do you reach out to or vice versa, with a lot of these rookies coming in? I know you spoke this last week about you lending your plane to Michael and going to Cabo and everything, and that's got to be a pretty cool moment for him. But what's it like when the draft goes down? It's the off season, everyone's doing their thing, but you're also eager to get to know your new teammates.
Yeah, 100%. If I can get the number, usually if it's an offensive lineman, then I'm trying to, connect with them as soon as possible. Defensive line, obviously they got a lot of guys over there that's going to be reaching out. So I just kind of sit back in the shadows and just kind of wait for the team ball, the OTA, all that stuff to pick up. And then you build a relationship then, and then, you just go from there.
Do you kind of live through them a little bit, in the sense as you get a little bit older, with kind of seeing the things that they're going through? I mean, Michael kind of an example of that. Like, he's trying to figure out how I'm going to do this trip or whatever, and just kind of just the newness of being a pro.
Yeah. Now, I wouldn't say I live through them because I've already lived everything they're trying to do, but I definitely
Does
try
it
to
keep
be.
you young?
It does keep me young and just helping them, and it reminds me of some of the pitfalls and the obstacle course, the obstacles that you meet along the way as being a young NFL player. So. I don't live through them, but it definitely keeps me engaged and keeps me, to where I can remember what happens, because I want to tell you about what happened to me at this point, and then, it definitely keeps me young in a sense where it allows me to not forget about all these lessons I've learned over 16 years, and just, it keeps me locked in too.
A lot of changes, and we're talking with Trent Williams here on the Sports Leader. A lot of changes, in particular on defense. If you go back to March, it's kind of like, wow, there's a lot of people that aren't going to be around from this team in recent time. But as you look at the additions and the draft, in particular on the defensive side, and you go up against a lot of these guys, I mean, how impressive Michael Williams, Alfred Collins, C.J. West has been somebody who's kind of made a little name the first week that's been noticed. Is there a point where you kind of look at it like, okay, like I kind of get it, like what the plan was in terms of of the draft?
I think, like I said, I keep throwing around my age. I'm old enough.
I didn't ask you this time.
Nah, you're right. I guess I just been around long enough to where all right, I see we losing huge pieces over here, and we have to spend a lot of money with guys that's already in our locker room. So when you can't go out in the free agency and make a huge splash, you got to make a splash in the draft. So I kind of already assumed that our focal point would be the defensive side of the ball, since that's where we lost the most people. So, yeah, I kind of seen what they were trying to do, but, just seeing how they went through and specifically picked these guys out, that's always interesting, because you start, when you in a defensive draft, you want defensive players, you still – hundreds of guys to pick through when you picking these guys first, second, third round. So, to me, I think I found it pretty neat just to see, all right, I know why they picked this guy. I know what separated him from those guys. I know I can see this player in this guy. I can see, so
sure.
I think that's probably more exciting to see for me.
Talking to the 37-year-old Trent Williams here. I'll cut the joke and ask you about a couple of guys that are definitely older, and that is your head coach, Kyle Shanahan. That's also his father, Mike, who coached you out in Washington.
Yeah.
So with all the roster turnover, you start thinking about the players that have been around here that know Kyle very well, and you're right at the top of that list. I mean, do you see a lot of similarities or key differences that stick out between Mike and Kyle in the coaching style?
Yeah, I think I may be the only player that's had both of them as head coaches, so I could. Yeah, but no, to say you definitely see it. You see it in the principles, right? Obviously, Kyle is a different, came up in a different age. He's a younger guy, obviously, he's a little bit more hip factor to how he runs the team, as opposed to where Coach Mike was more so like, it didn't play no game, like no games being played. He wasn't like one of those coaches that would MF you or do all of this. It's just that he told you exactly what he expected out of you, and and he gave you a chance to do that, and if you didn't do that, it's when you and it ain't even more about what he would say to you. It's more about just letting them down, because when you have a coach that believes in his players, when he gives you that freedom to have a day off, and when he gives you that freedom to be able to go stay a night outside of the hotel, or let you sleep in later, and guys don't take advantage of that, and they still come in later or still miss curfew, then that's more so an indictment versus the player than it is the coach. So, yeah, to answer your question, I see a lot of similarities, but, obviously with Kyle being a little younger, he runs it just a tad bit different.
What would you attribute the new energy to going into this season? I mean, everybody knows how last year ended, not what anybody wanted, obviously, but it has, I think, from an outside perspective, looked different through the offseason into this first week plus of camp. What do you attribute that energy change and energy shift to?
I think just fresh blood, new opportunity. We know we have the roster to go out and compete, and getting that 6-11 season out of out your taste buds, and just the excitement to know that, hey, we could have a favorable schedule, see how things turn out, and we got the team. We got one of the best quarterbacks. We got best tight end, best middle linebacker. List goes on. Pass rusher. So when you have all those pieces to the puzzle, it's hard not to get excited about what's coming up and the opportunities that is going to present themselves.
Few more minutes here with Trent Williams. Deion Dawkins was a big part of launching this campaign for the Protector of the Year award in the NFL. Best offensive lineman. Is obviously the goals of winning the Super Bowl, getting into the playoffs, those never change. But with a little more recognition of an offensive lineman, do you look at that getting instituted as something that you put at the top of your goals, or something you'd really like to get on your resume?
No, and it's not because I wouldn't want to be the best lineman, but I just feel like, for the award to be presented now, 16 years in, I just kind of like, it's probably not one of those awards that I look at as something that I need to go and get. It's new. So
right, if it was old, we'd be talking about the 6-time winner of the award right here.
Right. So I'm not gonna say that I don't pay attention to it. I understand that I'm very happy that people are pushing the envelope towards recognizing what we do, because we do have a tough and very important job. But I wouldn't say this at the top of my list. Like, I want to win the Super Bowl, and I want to win that more than anything.
So do you have a line of people now trying to get at the plane? Do you have a futures list? Like, who can take? Is that a thing?
I'd be lying if I say my phone didn't ring all the time with people wanting to get a ride on the plane. So
yeah, Klay Thompson's boat, Trent Williams' plane. Talking about some of the most important vehicles in the Bay Area.
You got a little side hustle going now, Trent.
Yeah.
We really appreciate you coming by. I know it's a busy time of year, so thanks so much for joining Papa and Silver with John Dickinson, and best of luck this season. Looking forward to it.
Appreciate it, man. Appreciate
Thanks,
y'all
Trent.
for having me.
Have a good one, man.